These days, the United States gets on its high horse a lot and condemns China for industrial espionage. And it is true that Japan largely improved upon American technology and developed their own technology, and that fueled their industrial growth at the end of the 20th century, whereas China spends almost nothing on research and development and vast amounts on spying, and basically steals American designs, American inventions, and American technology for civilian and military purposes. But before we get so high and mighty, let's understand that America's Industrial Revolution, really certainly its commercial revolution in the early years of the 19th century, was founded on the same premise of industrial espionage, only the target was Britain. Shortly after cotton began to be made into a fiber that could produce clothing, Richard Arkwright, Arkwright, a British inventor, developed all kinds of machines for expediting the process. One was called the water frame, where he'd use water power to refine the cotton. Another was called carding, where he would produce yarn out of cotton fibers. And he increasingly combined semi-skilled labor with natural power to create really the basis of the Industrial Revolution. Textiles were the start of the revolution because after food and the basic necessities of life came clothing, the only thing you couldn't get from nature. And the British developed their entire early power in the 18th and 19th centuries from the textile industry. Well, Alexander Hamilton, and this comes from that prodigious book, Ron Chernow's book, Hamilton, biography, looked at Britain and he felt that he wanted to kindle a commercial and industrial revolution in the United States. But we lacked the technology or the knowledge. So there was a guy named Samuel Slater who came to the United States from Britain who had worked at Arkwright's factories. And he claimed to have a design of all of his equipment. Now, the British were very fierce about keeping their secrets proprietary. It was illegal to bring them out of the factory. It was illegal to leave the country if you were exposed to and had knowledge of this kind of information. And British Navy would routinely intercept ships bound for America to make sure that there was no one on board who could be smuggling out these secrets. But somehow Slater made it out of Britain, and Alexander Hamilton got a hold of him, paid him lots of money, and Slater coughed up the designs. And under his supervision, a number of textile mills were built in New England, which began to compete effectively with Britain, the start really of America's entrance into the Industrial Revolution. In fact, Hamilton went further. He decided to set up a model city for the industrial age, one that would be based on manufacturing and industry. And he assembled some land in New Jersey, got the permission of Governor Patterson of New Jersey, and named the town Paterson, New Jersey. That, of course, still exists today in somewhat dilapidated form. And Paterson became the model city, and factories were there. Men poured in and were educated in how to use the equipment, and it really was the beginning of America's Industrial Revolution, which was truly extraordinary. Now, there was a political subtext to this. We all know about Jefferson being the advocate of democracy and Hamilton being more on the side of aristocracy, if not outright monarchy. And there's some truth to that, although Hamilton was decidedly anti-monarchic. But underneath the more important reality, which has been really concealed by our educational system, was that Hamilton foresaw the America we have today, based on industry and cities and manufacturing. And Jefferson wanted to preserve the America of the 18th century, based on agrarian, farm labor, small yeoman farmers, he felt, self-sufficient. And, of course, the subtext of that was slavery, which was not particularly appropriate for an industrial society, but very appropriate for the agrarian society Jefferson had in mind. And the centrality of the slavery issue to this argument between agricultural and industrial has always been understated in the analysis of American history. But Hamilton saw it front and center, and his efforts to pirate the Industrial Revolution from Britain to the United States. Very successful efforts really were part of that conflict. Thanks for watching.